This video is all about the negative numbers, and we have discussed about and we have learned about the ideas of positive numbers like the whole number part, decimal part, all those things we have already discussed. Now, what do you mean by these negative numbers? And let's begin our discussion by considering a small number line itself. And let's say this is my number line, and yeah, it's not that much of straight. 1, 2, 3, and this keeps on going like that. Let's say up to infinity. Infinity means it's not stopping, it keeps on continuing like that. That is the idea of infinity, and here I'm representing only the whole number part also. And any number that is smaller than 0 or less than 0 is nothing but considered as negative numbers, and in the number line the negative number will come towards the left side of 0, and that would be -1 here, -2, -3, and it keeps on going up to negative infinity. So negative infinity means it's not stopping. There's a lot of numbers towards the left side. That's the only idea there. So negative numbers are nothing but the exact copy of positive numbers with a little extra sign in that, with a negative sign in that. That's the only difference. Or if I'm considering positive numbers as, let's say, heat, the negative numbers are nothing but cold, because they're exact opposite, positive and negative. That's the only difference. Now, if I'm considering all the positive whole numbers and all the negative whole numbers and also the 0, these three terms or these three numbers are generally termed as integers. And again, this should be whole numbers. Positive whole numbers, negative whole numbers and 0, these three are generally called as integers. So keep that in mind. These are generally called as integers. Now, when I gave you the definition of negative numbers, I told you that it's a number that is less than 0. Now, you should be having a doubt there. 0 itself means nothing. Then how can something get smaller than nothing? How does that work? And that is what we're going to see now. Here I'm having a small figure, and they are nothing but a couple of mountains. And I am measuring the height of the mountains based upon this reference line. And let's say for the first one, let's say this height being let's say 5 centimeter itself. Okay, and this is, let's say, from this reference line it will be 10, around 10. Now what would be the height of this one? From the reference line there is no height at all, so that will give me 0 centimeter or nothing. Now if that is 0, then what would be the height of this mountain? Now we have to use the idea of negative numbers, because this is less than 0 from the reference line. So let's say this as -3 centimeters. So here we have to use the idea of negative numbers. And also when it comes to temperatures and all, like -2 degrees Celsius, -15 degrees Celsius, these are the values that we come across in our daily life. There also we are using the idea of negative numbers. I hope the idea is clear there. Now it gets little bit more messier when it comes to comparing the negative numbers, and that is what we're going to see now. We will first understand how we are comparing the positive numbers, then apply the same idea to negative numbers as well. So here I'm having the number line itself for better understanding. The first thing, we will just try to understand how we are comparing the positive numbers, and to compare the numbers we are mainly using three signs. One is greater than, other is less than, and the next one is equal to. And always remember, the number where I'm writing at the open portion of this sign will be the largest one. That means here the number I'm writing here will be the largest one, and here the number I'm writing here would be the largest one. So keep that an idea in your mind. Now moving on, let's say I'm having the numbers 2 and 3. And now tell me, which one is larger here, 2 or 3? That's a simple question, right? 3 itself. So I can say it as 2 is less than 3 or 3 is greater than 2. Both the ways are correct itself. Now, what happens if it was -2 and -3? And here you can get a little bit messed up. You can think that since 3 is larger than 2, I can write it as -3 larger than -2, which is wrong actually. It's more like -2 greater than -3. And we shall see how we actually get that idea from the number line itself. Let's consider the positive part of the number line first. I am moving from the 0 towards the right side. That means I'm moving from 0 to 1. And which is larger, 0 or 1? 1 is larger, and 1 to 2, again 2 is larger than 1, 2 to 3, 3 is larger than 2. That means every time I go towards the right side of the number line, I'm getting a bigger number. So every time I am moving in the right direction of the number line, I'm getting a larger number, or the number to the right will be greater than the number to the left. Now what happens if I'm moving in the opposite direction? That means from 5 to 4, 4 is a smaller number, 4 to 3, 3 is a smaller number, 3 to 2, 2 is a smaller number. That means if I'm moving to the left direction of the number line, I am getting a smaller number. Or I can say that the number towards the left of a number will always be the smaller one. And now we are going to apply the exact same idea onto negative numbers. That means on the previous we had -2 and -3, right? So we had these two, -2 and -3. Now we have just seen that if I'm moving towards the left side of the number line, the number to the left will be smaller. That will give me -3 being smaller than -2. Or I can say the number to the right is larger than the other number. So here the -2 is the right number, that makes it large compared with -3. Now as an easy method, I can say that the more negative a number is, the lesser the number will be. In this case, the -3 is more negative, that makes it smaller than -2. Let's consider one more example. Let's say I'm comparing -50 and -100. So here -100 is more negative, that makes it smaller than -50. One more example, -13 and -18. So here -18 is more negative, so that makes -18 smaller when we are comparing with -30. Okay, so that's all about the comparison of negative numbers. On the next video, we will be discussing about how to add and subtract the negative numbers. So see you on that class. Take care. Bye.